There's been a lot of movement behind the scenes and on the pitch lately, and you can feel that something is starting to shift at the club. The talk around the goalkeeping position has picked up again, and it's not really a surprise when you think about how important that role is in modern football. Rangers have been linked with a young goalkeeper from Sheffield Wednesday, a player who is still very early in his career, but already getting attention for the way he plays the game. He's not just a traditional shot stopper, he's the kind of keeper who likes the ball at his feet, who can start attacks from the back and stay calm under pressure. That's something that more and more teams are looking for now, and it looks like Rangers might be thinking along the same lines as they plan for the future. When you look at the current situation, the goalkeeping position is one that probably does need to be looked at in the summer. That's not to say the current options are poor, because there have been some very important saves over the season, but modern football demands more than just saving shots. Teams want goalkeepers who can control the tempo, who can pass accurately, and who can help the defense when the team is building from the back. The young goalkeeper being linked fits that profile very well. He's tall, confident, and already has international experience despite being only 20 years old, which says a lot about how highly he is rated. Of course, statistics can sometimes paint the wrong picture, especially when a player is in a struggling team. Sheffield Wednesday have had a very difficult season, and when a team is constantly under pressure, the goalkeeper is always going to concede goals. That doesn't always reflect the goalkeeper's true ability. In fact, sometimes it shows the opposite, because a keeper in a weak team often faces more shots, more difficult situations, and more pressure than a keeper in a strong team. That kind of experience at a young age can actually help a player develop faster, because they are constantly being tested and forced to improve. Another interesting point about this potential move is the style of football Rangers seem to be moving towards. There has been a lot of discussion about playing out from the back, moving the ball quicker, and being more comfortable in possession. A goalkeeper who is confident with his passing can completely change how a team builds attacks. Instead of just kicking the ball long and hoping for the best, the team can keep possession, control the game, and create more structured attacks. That's clearly something the coaching staff want to improve, and bringing in a young goalkeeper with those qualities would make a lot of sense if that's the direction the club is heading. While the talk about transfers continues, there's also been plenty happening at the top level of the club. Several changes in the leadership structure have been announced, and that usually means one thing: a new direction and a new plan for the future. When new leadership comes in, they often want their own people in key positions, people they trust, and people who share the same vision for how the club should be run. So these departures and changes might look surprising from the outside, but inside the club it could simply be part of a bigger restructuring plan. It's clear that there is a strong desire to improve not just what happens on the pitch, but also how the club operates off the pitch. Financial stability, commercial growth, and better organization are all essential if a club wants to compete at a higher level consistently. Football clubs today are not just football teams, they are massive organizations, and the way they are managed behind the scenes can have a huge impact on what happens during the season. If the structure is strong, recruitment is better, planning is better, and the team becomes more competitive over time. All of this suggests that the upcoming summer could be a very important one for Rangers. There could be changes in the squad, changes in the way the team plays, and continued changes in the way the club is run. When you put all of that together, it feels like a period of transition, but also a period of opportunity. These moments can define the next few years for a club, depending on the decisions that are made and how well those decisions are executed. Supporters always focus on the players and the matches, and that's understandable, but sometimes the most important decisions are made in offices and meeting rooms rather than on the pitch. Recruitment strategy, youth development, financial planning, and leadership structure all play a massive role in determining whether a club moves forward or stands still. From what we are seeing now, there is a clear attempt to move things forward and fix some of the issues that have caused frustration earlier in the season. So when you look at the goalkeeper rumors and the changes in the boardroom together, it doesn't feel like separate stories. It feels like part of the same bigger picture. A club preparing for the future, trying to modernize, trying to improve, and trying to build something more stable and more competitive. And if these decisions are the right ones, this summer could be remembered as the moment when a new chapter really started to take shape at Rangers. As these changes continue to unfold, there is a growing feeling that the club is trying to build something more structured and more modern, both on and off the pitch. Over the past few seasons, there have been moments of progress followed by periods of frustration, and that inconsistency is something the people in charge clearly want to fix. Stability is one of the most important things for any football club, not just in the squad, but also in the leadership, recruitment strategy, and long-term planning. When all of those areas are working together, the team on the pitch usually benefits as well, and that is what supporters will be hoping to see over the next season. The potential recruitment strategy also seems to be focusing more on younger players with development potential rather than only experienced players. Bringing in younger talent can be a risk, but it can also be very rewarding if the players develop well and grow with the club. It also allows the team to build a core group of players who can play together for several seasons, instead of constantly rebuilding every year. That kind of continuity is often what separates successful teams from inconsistent ones, because players understand each other better. The style of play becomes more natural, and the team becomes more confident in difficult matches. Another thing that cannot be ignored is the importance of European competition. Playing in Europe not only brings financial benefits, but it also attracts better players and gives the club more visibility. Many players want the opportunity to play in European competitions, and that can be a big factor when they decide where to go. If Rangers want to continue attracting talented players, especially young players with potential, they need to remain competitive and continue qualifying for European tournaments. That is another reason why recruitment decisions this summer will be very important. There is also the question of playing style and identity. Supporters always want to see a team that plays with intensity, confidence, and purpose. Over the last season, there have been matches where the team looked very strong and organized, and other matches where things looked slow and predictable. Finding a clear identity and sticking to it is very important. Whether that means pressing higher, moving the ball quicker, or being more aggressive in attack, the team needs a clear plan that the players fully understand. That is something that usually comes with time, good coaching, and the right players being brought into the squad. The atmosphere around the club also tends to change when supporters feel that there is a clear direction. Even during difficult periods, fans are usually more patient when they believe there is a long-term plan in place. What frustrates supporters the most is when things look uncertain or when the same mistakes keep happening. If the leadership changes and recruitment strategy lead to better organization and smarter signings, then the overall mood around the club could improve significantly over the next year. Looking ahead, the summer transfer window will likely be one of the most important in recent years, not just because of one position or one signing, but because it feels like part of a bigger rebuild and restructuring. The decisions made during this period could shape the squad for the next few seasons. Getting the right balance between experience and youth will be key, as well as bringing in players who fit the system and the style of play the manager wants to implement. There is also a mental side to all of this. Football is not just about tactics and talent. It is also about confidence, leadership, and mentality. Teams that win consistently usually have strong characters in the dressing room, players who take responsibility and help maintain standards during the season. Building that kind of squad does not happen overnight, but it starts with good recruitment and strong leadership from the coaching staff and senior players. So when you look at everything that is happening right now, from transfer rumors to leadership changes and restructuring behind the scenes, it really does feel like a period of transition. These periods can be difficult and sometimes uncertain, but they can also be the moments when the foundations for future success are built. The key will be making the right decisions, staying patient, and making sure that every move the club makes is part of a clear long-term plan rather than short-term fixes. You can also sense that there is a bigger focus now on building a squad that fits a system rather than just collecting good players without a clear plan. In modern football, having talented players is not enough on its own. They need to fit the way the team wants to play, they need to understand their roles, and they need to be comfortable with the tempo and physical demands of the league. Scottish football is intense, physical, and fast, and not every player adapts to that immediately. So recruitment has to be smart, not just exciting on paper. Another important factor is competition for places. When a squad has real competition, players cannot relax, and performance levels usually rise. If a goalkeeper knows there is a young, hungry player ready to take his place, he will push himself harder in training and in matches. The same applies to every position on the pitch. Healthy competition inside the squad is often what drives improvement over the course of a long season. especially when the team is playing in multiple competitions and needs depth. Supporters also play a massive role during these periods of change. Ibrox can be one of the most intense and supportive stadiums in football when the crowd is behind the team. New players often talk about the atmosphere and how it pushes them to perform at a higher level. But at the same time, expectations are very high, and players need strong mentality to handle that pressure. That is why character is just as important as ability when new players are being considered. There is also a feeling that the club wants to become more modern in its overall football structure, looking more at data, scouting networks, and long-term player development rather than only short-term solutions. Many clubs across Europe have moved in that direction, focusing on identifying young talent early, developing players, and creating a clear pathway from development to the first team. If that structure is built properly, it can keep the team competitive for many years rather than just 1 or 2 seasons. Financial management will also be a key part of the club's future. Football has changed a lot over the last decade, and clubs need to be very careful with wages, transfer fees, and long-term contracts. Spending money is not always the solution. Spending money wisely is what really matters. Bringing in players with potential value, players who can improve and possibly be sold later for profit, is a strategy many successful clubs use to remain competitive while staying financially stable. At the same time, experience cannot be ignored. Young players bring energy and development potential, but experienced players bring leadership, calmness, and understanding of big matches. The best squads usually have a balance between youth and experience, between energy and leadership. Finding that balance will be very important as the squad evolves over the next transfer windows. Another thing that will be important is consistency in performances. One of the biggest challenges over recent seasons has been not just the big matches, but the smaller matches where points are sometimes dropped unexpectedly. Winning titles is not only about winning the big games. It is about being consistent every single week, staying focused, and finding ways to win even when the team is not playing at its best. That mentality is something every successful team needs to develop. All in all, it feels like the club is entering a very important period where many decisions are being made that could define the next few years. Changes in leadership, possible changes in the squad, adjustments in recruitment strategy, and a clearer football identity all seem to be part of the same bigger picture. The next season will probably tell us a lot about whether these changes are working and whether the club is truly moving in the right direction. Before we continue, make sure to subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications to get all the exclusive news about Rangers FC. Don't overlook any details about your beloved team. It's crucial for Rangers FC fans. A quiet murmur has begun to gain traction at Ibrox, with rumors suggesting that Rangers have initiated preliminary talks to sign Finley Curtis for next season. While nothing has been officially confirmed, sources close to the situation suggest the club is eager to act quickly, seeing the player as a potential piece in their next phase of development. Curtis, who has been building a reputation for his composure and tactical awareness, has reportedly caught the eye of the recruitment team in recent months. There is a sense that Rangers are looking to invest not only in immediate impact, but in players who can grow with the shirt and take on responsibilities in the coming years. In this sense, Curtis seems to fit the profile they have been quietly shaping. It is understood that the talks at this stage are exploratory, with both parties assessing interest and expectations. However, the very existence of these discussions indicates the Glasgow club's intention. After a period of analysis and reflection, the club seems determined to act decisively in the market, identifying targets early rather than reacting late. Of course, a certain degree of caution remains. Transfers that emerge from initial rumors don't always materialize, and a lot can change as negotiations evolve. Still, the idea of Curtis wearing a Rangers shirt is something that is starting to gain traction among those who are closely following the situation. For now, it remains firmly in the realm of speculation. But in football, it's often these initial rumors that signal something more substantial forming behind the scenes. Greetings, fans. Make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel, as it's greatly appreciated by Rangers FC. And don't forget to share your thoughts on the news in the comments section below. Until the next video, stay tuned.